All right, y'all, it's time to get our sweet potato slips and our onion seeds started. I like to start off with some potting mix in some shallow, preferably clear containers, but any container will do. I've picked out some healthy sweet potatoes and I am going to settle them into the potting mix almost halfway down. These first two are a purple sweet potato. This one is the variety that is red on the outside but has a white flesh in the middle. These are potatoes that I saved from what I grew this past season. This is my favorite. It is just the orange sweet potato. Not sure of the variety. I probably should be, but it's just one that I like. And it has done well for me. As you can check out in the video of where I grew sweet potatoes. I grew this same variety for 2 years in a row, and I really like it. I don't have any holes in the bottom of this, and that is part of the reason I like a clear container so that I can keep an eye on my moisture levels. You don't want to keep these too moist. They will have a tendency to rot. But I haven't had any trouble with rotting doing it this way for the past 2 years. It's been my only way that I like to do it. I decided I could squeeze one more in here. I'll show you another method how to start your sweet potatoes later in this video. But then I just place them on a heat mat. They like to be really warm and they will sprout faster. It's not necessary. And you can see here I can keep an eye on that moisture level with both of these real well. Pretty. This is the potting mix that I like to use. Several different varieties of it. Here it is. I have sifted it. And we're going to add a little bit of water. Let it soak in a little bit. You can see it's a little bit hydrophobic here where it's sat outside all winter. So we're going to get it nice and moist before we start putting it in our containers. I'm going to go ahead and get the containers about 3/4 of the way full. Well, a little more than that. And I like to start off with a good potting mix because I plan on leaving these seeds in here past their sprouting period. That way they have nutrients as the roots grow down in. And I'll show you here in a second how I kind of have the best of both worlds. So I'm going to get all of these filled up. And then we'll get some seed starting mix on the top. This is a seed starting mix that I get from a local garden center. But any good seed starting mix will do. So I have all the pots almost completely full. And now I'm going to put a little layer of the seed starting mix. That way when we put the seeds in, they have soft, loose seed starting mix to get going in, and then as the roots get down and get stronger, they have a potting mix that is full of all the nutrients that they need once they get started. A lot of people will plant only in seed starting mix, or a lot of people will plant only in potting mix, and I'm sure there's pros and cons to both ways, and I've done it both ways. But I've found that I do like this. It just saves me a step later with adding extra fertilizer or up potting so much. Now what I'm doing here, these are older seeds, so I'm sowing them pretty heavily, and I'm just going to spread them across the top. And I should have sifted that stuff too. I keep finding these little sticks in it. These are a Texas Granax onion seed. They are supposed to be a little sweet. And like I said, these are older seeds, so I'm sowing these pretty heavily because I don't know how well they will germinate because of their age. Now that I've got those seeds on top of the first layer of seed starting mix. I'm going to come back in and top it off. Just real shallow. They're little bitty seeds. They don't need to be real deep. So I'm just going to get everything topped in and covered up real good. That one crooked pot is driving me crazy, and I have no idea. There, like, fix it, Loanna. But I didn't. I'm just going to spray everything down with the mister here because the bottom part is pretty moist. I'm just going to moisten this top part. I am having issues with my water situation. It's every watering can I have, it comes out so fast it just drowns everything. So until I find something else, this is what I'm doing. Not fun, but I'll figure it out. So I'm doing the same thing as I did before. I have some good potting soil here on the bottom of these shallow pans, and then I'm going to top it with the seed starting mix. The reason I'm using these shallow pans is I have a lot of seeds, like I said, that are older, so I'm just going to sow these real generously and see what we get. And I'll show you the progression here later in the video. Here in our area, we grow what is called a short day, or we can also grow an intermediate day onion. That is depending on how much daylight you get according to where you are in the United States. I'll post a diagram and a link to a video that explains that in better detail for you, so you can make a decision of what type you need to grow in your area. And again, I'm just going to mist everything real good, because the potting mix underneath is good and moist. And where these are so shallow, I will have to keep a close eye on these, make sure they don't dry out too fast, and make sure that I don't overwater them. But it works out pretty good for this purpose. And again, we're going to lightly cover all of the seeds with more of the seed starting mix. Give them a nice soft place to germinate. And then we'll water them in real good. And we'll check back in on them later. See how they're doing. So I'm still working on my watering system here. This is watering everything gently, but it is getting water everywhere. So I've put a towel down. But this is 1 week in. And they're doing pretty good. I think they're doing great. The germination is pretty sparse on a lot of them, but we'll see. Now these are doing better. Pretty good germination here. Little bitty onions peeking through. And like I said, this is just about a week later. So we'll see. We could still get some better germination by the next week. And you can see here we are 1 week in on the sweet potatoes. Now those little greens are not new starts. That was some that I picked off of that other sweet potato to see if it'd make it. So we're just gonna, you can see how wet they are. I'm just gonna wet these a little bit more. We don't want them sopping wet, but we don't want them dry either. And still too soon, but they'll start sprouting soon. And you can see why I like having them in the clear containers. I can see what's going on. You'll be able to see when the roots start to form. They will sprout faster because the sweet potatoes are a tropical plant. They like things very warm. So I have seed starting mats that I keep them placed on, and that helps speed up the sprouting process. Not necessary, but it speeds it up. Also, once your seeds have sprouted, you will need supplemental lighting. This is just one of those little clamp-on shop lights. I had them from when I was raising chicks, but they clamp on, which makes it really nice. You can position them if you just have a few things that you're trying to grow, and you can use any kind of like a strong white light bulb. This happens to be a plant light that I can link from Amazon, but mostly I use 5,000 lumen LED shop lights. I can also put a link to that as well to make it easy on you, but you can pick those up at Harbor Freight, Tractor Supply, Lowe's, Walmart. They're fairly inexpensive. I'm going to show you another way that you can start sweet potato slips. Bear with me, my microphone didn't work, so I'm going to have to talk through these, so ignore all my hand motions. You want to make sure you have a good healthy sweet potato without any cuts and blemishes. What I'm showing you here is that end is the end where the vine was attached to, and it broke away from the vine. The other end is, see, you can see here, it's an open cut, and the other end is smooth and closed. You want the open part outside of the water, because if you place that in the water, it will rot. So we're going to place toothpicks in this to hold it up. So what I'm doing here is measuring where it is above the water line that I need to place the sweet potato slips. I don't know what I'm talking about here, but so I'm seeing where the water line is and the edge of the glass, and that's where I'm going to poke in the toothpicks, and that will hold it up out of the water so it's not laying on the bottom, less likely to rot, and that will keep the puncture marks up out of the water so that they won't rot as well. And then you just set this on your windowsill, and you will start to get little sprouts to come out, and they will grow up and vine up real pretty. It's quite fun. The kids will enjoy it. But they'll grow out and up, and this is what it should look like. You'll start getting green sprouts coming up, and I'll show you later in another video as these sprout and we get some good starts. I'll show you how you take them off, place them in water, and get them prepared to put in the ground. It's really cool and super easy. Now let's take a look and see how these are doing after a couple weeks. Now this one's already sprouting, and those will grow up and make pretty little leaves, and we will break them off and put them in water, and they will get roots. Some of these other varieties take a little longer, but they will. Now you still have time if you go to your grocery store and buy some organic sweet potatoes. If they're not organic, a lot of times they're sprayed with like a sprout retardant. So organic is best if you want to get quicker sprouts to start. But go ahead, you still have time. Pick you some up and follow these steps. And as you'll see a little later in the video, it happens so fast and it's a lot of fun. So go ahead and get started, and then I'll also be posting videos here in a few weeks showing you how to continue on. This sweet potato here was actually the ones I started sprouts on last year, and that thing stayed good all through the summer and kept spitting out sprouts. So that's why I have these little pieces. They were what were still on that thing from last year in this old dry crusty soil that I had it in all through the summer, and then it sat down here in the basement. So I'm telling you, it's not hard. Go get you some sweet potatoes and get them started. It's a lot of fun. So let's set these back on the heat mat so they can continue to make us little sprouts. And we'll check back in on them in another week. And let's see what the onions look like after 2 weeks. They are looking pretty good.
Like I said earlier, these were older seeds, and I planted a lot of them in here, and the germination rate is just not really good. There's one still trying. We still might get a few, but I will up pot them maybe in a week or so. I'll take you along for that too. And you can see here too, this was a Georgia Sweet. Like one of those germinated. I did them in rows. This one is a red burgundy. It did pretty good. And this is a something flat of Italy. And you can see that a few of those did too. But like I said, these are probably 20 seeds, and onion seeds don't like to hang out long with you. Now this is a white Creole. Looks like it had pretty good germination. So let's see. And this is a yellow Granax. That was pretty good. And this is a red Granax. And they look pretty good.
I had planned on uppotting these, but depending on the weather, I may go ahead and get them out here in the next few weeks. And these don't seem to be looking so hot, but spoiler alert, they perk up. We'll see here in about week 3. Well, it's actually just 1 week on starting this, and sorry for the really bad video, but there's a few little roots starting on it. And these beauties are getting busy. And these are the slowpokes, but they're getting some roots. And we've got one little sprout right here. And like I said, these perked up. They're doing pretty good. Not too bad. So the onions are looking really good. We'll be giving these guys a good haircut soon. And I started some more because of the low germination, so we'll see how those turn out. So next video, we'll be giving these guys a haircut, seeing how those new seeds are started, and we'll be starting peppers. So check out this next video of the peppers, and go check out my sweet potato video to get you all excited about growing your own sweet potatoes. Thanks for hanging out with me. Catch you next time.